Hi everyone. So I'm Sabrina from PlaceOS. I'm here with John McFarlane, and this is a podcast around aged care and assisted living. So, aged care and assisted living is a topic that has been coming up more and more in my sales conversations, and I think this is a really exciting vertical for PlaceOS to be operating in because it's the perfect combination of a lot of the other applications that we've delivered already to date. So, as an example, we have a telehealth platform that focuses on virtual consultations between patients and clinicians. And then, as we all know, we've had a lot of traction in the workplace environment and from a commercial real estate perspective, where we're looking at, multi-tenanted environments where we have lots of different types of users operating in one physical space. And that has a lot of parallels to aged care, where we have lots of different types of stakeholders and we have that healthcare and real estate focus converging into one environment. So, John, maybe do you want to kick off with what sort of key parallels are you seeing between the aged care space and some of the other things that we've been doing?
Yeah, I think it's definitely becoming our sweet spot for PlaceOS because it's taking some fundamental things we always look at, like who the user is, where they are. Those are the two things I drum on about the most. Mapping who and where, then we can trigger things based on profile information. It's just that those triggers are slightly different, but that same context is very important. And the triggers, when it comes to aged care, might be more about making things comfortable for residents. But it has an element of care. And as you said, we've done some work with health organisations, and PlaceOS powers My Virtual Care for New South Wales Health. And we're sort of seeing that as like this virtual health system that if we bring it into the physical space, it's a great sort of aged care solution. And then we can start looking at sort of like the very general home automation user experiences. So things we've done in commercial spaces, looking at it more, tailoring the comfort levels, tailoring their experience at home, and then one extra layer of monitoring safety and security and privacy. And those three things sort of working as together to really form this solution. When I'm talking to our partners, they're seeing so many opportunities for all of this because I think it's such a large area because everyone's getting older, for one. There's not as many facilities as there are people. So therefore, aged care is actually going to be in people's homes, the homes they're already in. So that means everyone needs to repurpose their homes to include some extra aged care features. And some of that could be simple as monitoring for fall detection or monitoring and setting up triggers for anything that we need to set the threshold for. So if this happens, then trigger that. That's something we're very used to in the commercial building space. So, but now we're maybe referencing health data. If a certain threshold is met in this health data, then that's something of concern. Trigger this action, and the action can be physical building related. It can be access related. Unlock the doors so people can come in and help this person, and obviously alert related. Send an alert to the nursing staff that look after this region, or to emergency services. So it's all about integrations, basically, and that's not new for us.
Yeah, I think the alerts is a key one. And as well as alerting people within that facility, potentially also alerting family members or providing family members or carers who are external to that facility with better visibility into how, aged care residents are feeling and operating. So if we can see that, if we can detect, a fall or something like that through an existing camera on the network, or if we can see that a particular person hasn't moved from, their room in a day, it's letting the facility know that information, but also giving families better visibility into, what their parents are actually doing.
And like just like any other project where we have automation based on people's location, privacy is a big concern.
Yeah.
And when it comes to aged care, there's also this element of freedom. Aged care patients don't want to be babied. They experience wise people that don't want to be treated like second-class citizens in some cases. So it's really making sure they have their independence, and as well as maintaining their privacy. So we can start looking at events that are tracking, but not like facial recognition or something like that, or not necessarily using video systems for the tracking, but we can know where they are generally and not know who they are, and set zones that if they're in a certain zone for too long, then maybe they've had an accident or fallen over, and that's when it raises to the next level. And having tailored approach, because everyone's care needs are different, and so that tailored approach is exactly why platforms work well and why we think PlaceOS is perfect for the aged care market, because you can use all the same tailoring features. So we've done a lot of work with multinational organizations, for example, in the workspace vertical, where they have 190 offices. So the difference between how Paris wants to run their office versus New York can be very different, but it's the same platform, and our tooling allows them to customize and tailor the solution across a large portfolio. I think we can take some of those concepts and thinking and allow tailored and custom solutions to match the care levels needed for each patient as well. So it can still be uniform, it can still be wide scale, but with the differences that are needed.
Yeah, that's an interesting parallel between the way aged care operates and what we're seeing in commercial real estate. And a lot of those commercial real estate providers also have aged care or residential portfolios as well. So where we're looking at now, there's, with hybrid working, we're seeing a lot of offices wanting to repurpose space that they already have leased or owned.
Yeah.
And they're doing things like renting out different spaces as a flexible working environment, where they package things like Wi-Fi as a service or other technology as a service, or even office furniture as a service, where that can be consumed in an ad hoc way. That same sort of principle and flexi working model can be taken to aged care, where we have different subscription models or different lease models or different service models that package technology and other services that improve the quality of life for aged care residents who don't necessarily have the capability to set all of that up for themselves. And that can be a really great not only a care solution for that end user, but also a way for commercial real estate providers in that space to work out new and exciting revenue generation models and how they can deliver that in a more scalable way. Especially, as you mentioned, we have people who are, receiving care from home, or they might be in a basic assisted living scenario, or then they might be moving up to a full care facility as well. So much opportunity there for how technology can be packaged in different ways.
Yeah, it's an interesting way to look at it, the business model, because often the business model can drive adoption of this solution. And I think the need is quite obvious, that we can't just start thinking of, people get to a certain age, so we move them to a different facility. To maintain independence, you still want to live in the nice apartment, and your neighbors might be a lot younger, but you can add additional services as part of your lease to maintain your independence, so you don't have to go anywhere else. Just adding those extra features that you need based on the care at the time. And that can change over time as well. So I think there's so much opportunity here, and so many different business models that are going to grow out of this. And I do think, like for many other things happening right now, the landlords are the ones with the keys. They can enable this, and they can just have a full portfolio of offering to their tenants that includes aged care. But on the other end of the scale could include student accommodation. It can be the same mixed-use building, and now have a little bit of co-working in the same building as well.
Yeah. And one other parallel that we haven't actually touched on between aged care and workplace is that aged care facilities are also workplaces, which we say about every other market vertical that we speak about, whether that's industrial or healthcare or whatever it is, where we still have employees who are servicing these different patients and residents, and they still need to do things like potentially book a meeting room, host a conference, find a particular person, whether that's a nurse or a security guard or someone to help with IT. They still need to be able to find critical assets in real time. They might be wanting to track a particular piece of medical equipment, and that could be anywhere on this huge aged care campus. So there's a lot of ways that we can still use those same workplace concepts that are templated and really well delivered and packaged, and take that into aged care environments as well.
Yeah, even simply removing friction, like it's via workflow automation. There's so many, I imagine, double handling manual processes and it's a stressful environment. So even just some of the workplace wellness features we enable for business consulting firms, that this is much more stressful than that job, and it'll go a lot further. Meditation pods that you can book. There's the ideas are there, and just bringing all this into one platform means you can automate across all of these things.